Hi, it's Dave here. I'm with my wife, Cathy.
Hello.
And you're listening to the Cinemile, the podcast where we walk to the movies and then we walk back from the movies. We're not walking right now.
We're in an Uber. It's exciting.
Because we're late.
We're late.
Now, to be fair, normally it's your fault.
Mm-hmm.
It's all your fault.
Yes.
And I'm quick to blame you always.
You are.
But this time it's
nobody's fault.
It's nobody's fault because we had to line up coming back from work, lining up a babysitter, getting a screening that wasn't too late so we can come back in time to leave the babysitter.
Dave, you're really giving this a lot of explanation. Basically, we're in an Uber. We're not walking.
This is the plight of the modern parent.
It is the plight of the modern parent.
The poor middle class parent.
It is. So
no one ever thinks of us.
No one ever thinks of us getting to the cinema. It's a terrible life. So we're going to see Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yes.
Which Dave's very excited by.
I'm super excited.
Yeah.
If you don't listen to this podcast, I like Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not a massive Marvel fan. However, Ant-Man, the first one, was actually one of my favourite Marvels ever. In that I enjoyed it a lot in the cinema. I thought it was really sweet and fun, and I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan, and I really like Evangeline Lilly. So she was briefly in the last movie, wasn't
Kate
she?
Kate
from Lost was briefly in the last movie, right?
She was more than briefly in it.
I'm trying to remember. Oh, she was Michael Douglas's daughter, was she?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, and Michael Douglas is really fun in this, so I'm really pleased she's now.
He was the sort of hapless. He had thieving skills in the first one. He didn't know how to fight. She taught him how to fight.
I'd forgotten all that. Thanks for the synopsis of the first movie. She was a badass, and Michael Douglas was really fun. And I like that she's got equal billing with that man. That's quite unusual. For her to have equal billing with him is really cool.
I think this is the first time a female Marvel superhero has had a title role.
Yes, for sure it is.
Yeah.
And she's really cool. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm a huge Paul Rudd fan. And he's so strange in that he actually hasn't aged a day since Clueless.
No.
Which was in about around 1995. And I have loved him ever since Clueless. And I'm such a fan. So I think he was really inspired casting for this, because he is not obviously your typical action hero, and I think he just pulls it off so well. So albeit I've only seen the first one once and obviously had forgotten a lot of it, I did enjoy it, so I'm looking forward to this, but I don't have huge expectations beside that.
Well, I'm just, all I want is for a bit of light fun on this Monday night.
And I'm also interested to see, it is hot, so I'm excited for aircon. I'm interested to see, okay, no spoilers for the last Avengers movie, but there was quite an ending to that. I'm interested to see how that ties in with this. I don't understand, because this is coming after that, but I doubt they're like giving the game away in this one. So don't tell me if you know, because I don't. I'm
going to tell you. Well, I haven't seen any. I haven't seen any trailers.
We'll discuss it after.
I haven't seen any trailers for this. I don't even know what the plot is.
Okay.
I've avoided absolutely everything. But I have
seen a trailer that I enjoyed.
Can tell you something that you're going to ask me in the course of this movie that the movie probably won't tell you.
Okay.
This happens before the Avengers.
Oh, lame.
Or possibly during, but it's not after.
Because they're usually in an order, aren't they?
As far as I know, this is just before.
Because they're usually in timely order, aren't they, these movies?
Basically, the thing that you're alluding to hasn't happened.
Okay, right.
Yet,
okay.
As far as I know. Because that would be pretty important.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Yeah. How is this like basically a rom-com or whatever way it's being built? Okay.
Who hasn't seen the event?
Who isn't this? Lots of people haven't seen the Avengers, Dave. Lots of people don't care about the Avengers, but probably if they're listening to this review, they've probably seen the Avengers. But on a side note,
how many people have their hands up right now?
What I've done is, so we go to View Cinemas a lot, because there's one kind of near our house, and they've done this amazing thing that we've mentioned before, and no, we're not sponsored by them, we just think it's amazing, where all movie tickets are like a $5, but because $5.99. So because they do that now, and it's so clever, like every cinema should do it, they're now packed all the time. So the last 2 times I've gone to the View Cinema, been so late for the movie because the concessions queue is so long. So everyone's buying food and drink. And because of that, and because we're a bit late this evening, I've actually brought my own drink and chocolate, so I'm pretty excited about that, because I queued for 20 minutes last time.
Well, it's a waste of money, as everyone knows.
I don't mind spending the money, because I think, they've given us cheap tickets. There's something fun about getting like movie theatre food, but the queues are too long now. They're like out of control, and they're really slow because everyone's buying the cinema tickets at the same time as getting food.
No, smart move for you as a consumer, but also a smart move by the cinema to lower the prices,
amazing.
Get people in the door, because if anyone doesn't know, they make the money from the snacks and the drinks. It's not that there's huge markup. Like popcorn costs like pence.
Yeah.
Like it's like pennies.
Someone told me that the markup for... It was actually my friend Nick, who's been on this podcast reviewing Geostorm. He said that the markup on popcorn... Now, I don't know where he got this fact from. Like, people who sell popcorn in movie theatres make more money than cocaine dealers do. Like, cocaine distributors. Which could be true, because it's essentially keeping cinemas afloat, right?
I would imagine the overheads on cocaine are pretty high, because you've got to get it out of Colombia or wherever it's being grown.
No, but in terms of the profit margin. But anyway, I digress, so I'm excited for my Reese's Pieces that I've got in my handbag. Yeah. Okay. Bye. It's not.
I just left you hanging there.
We're not sponsored by Reese's.
Yeah, what is
Pieces
up
either.
with you with your product placement?
I'm not product placement. I'm just dropping brands left, right, and centre.
By the way, I really love your new Nike.
I'm not
runners.
I'm not wearing Nike runners.
And
I'm wearing sandals.
And I really like your Karen Millen glasses.
Okay, that they actually are Karen Millen, but that's just because you're looking
Stop
at
sponsoring Karen
price.
Millen. You're
Okay,
such a shill.
we need to go. Okay, bye.
Alright, bye. Brought to you by Adidas.
I just have one question. When Cap needed help, if I'd asked you, would you have come?
I guess we'll never know. But if you had, you'd have never been caught.
I do some dumb things, and the people I love the most, they pay the price.
Thanks to you, we had to run. We're still running.
Let's go.
Right, we are out. We've just seen Ant-Man, the Wasp. We're doing the long walk to the train station. The Cinemile, if you will.
If you will.
Maybe it's not a mile.
It's
as long as
0.8 of a mile, according to City Mapper.
So, I think I know how you felt about this. And I kind of feel the same. I'm really let down. I think it's quite disappointing.
I'm so let down. And okay, first of all, I'm no authority on the first Ant-Man movie in that I've only seen it once and it was in the cinema, so it was like about 3 years ago, right? So, I can't speak to like the details of that movie, but I can speak about how I felt at that movie, which was that I was filled with enjoyment. I thought it was very endearing, and I thought it was very funny, and I thought it was really stylish. And this movie, myself, and I'm pretty sure the packed audience agreed with me because no one was laughing. So I thought there was no humour. I thought there was zero style, which proves to me that actually all the fun bits and the cool visual bits in the first movie were Edgar Wright, which I know everyone was arguing at the time. They didn't know where they came from. Well, they certainly didn't come from this director, because nothing in this movie was visually interesting. Like all of the stuff in the first movie that was so cool, when he was shrunk and playing around with different sizes, and it was really funny and inventive. This was just like Ant-Man by numbers. So visually I thought it was so dull. And then continuing in the fine Marvel tradition of having zero investment in like the villains. There's kind of two separate villains. I thought both.
Don't say too much.
Plots were terrible.
For Spoiler Street, yeah.
Both plots were terrible. I didn't care about them. And then the end, like the third act, just went on and on and on. I just thought, oh my god, I cannot wait for this movie to end. And even Paul Rudd couldn't save it for me. There's this one scene very near the end where for a second he's sitting in a car, right, and he turns and smiles at Evangeline Lilly, and it's very, very like a scene in Clueless. And that's all I have to say good about the movie. That for a brief moment I was reminded of how good Clueless is.
That's it. Yeah, so the best thing about this movie is that it reminded you.
Anyone who knows Clueless will know the bit I mean when he turns and smiles at her in the car. And and I hate his daughter. Oh my god. And I don't normally hate 10-year-old girls. I hate everything about his family. They're the most annoying family that have ever been put to screen.
Yeah, they were really annoying. Hang on, we should clarify. Cathy doesn't hate the 10-year-old actress.
Not the actress,
who
the
plays
character.
The character. Just to be clear.
She's the fakest little girl I've ever seen. Like, she was clearly written by, turns out, 5 men, because 5 people wrote this script.
Including Paul Rudd was one of them.
So when you see, at the end, when I saw all the names, I was like, of course 5 people wrote this, because it's utter crap.
Because she's a
manic pixie daughter girl.
That's exactly right.
That's what she is. She's a fake ass. No one would ever speak like her, act like her. She apparently has no friends. Her only friend is her dad. Anyway, so And it's funny because I know I'm not like the biggest Marvel fan, even though I actually didn't really enjoy the last Avengers movie. But I always love these little kind of sillier ones, like Thor. I was a big fan of. I was a big fan of the original Ant-Man. And now I'm like, the first Ant-Man's kind of at the top of my Marvel list, and this is probably at the bottom, maybe second to one of the Captain Americas that I really hated.
So complete sort of a reversal for you because you really enjoyed Infinity War.
Yeah, it's just dead. This movie's just dead. All this movie is just a series of plot points that they wanted to hit so that they can do an end credit scene that references Infinity War. That's all this movie is.
Okay, right, you're gonna really piss off some spoiler people. Anyway,
I'm not spoiling anything. I'm just saying that's all that the movie is.
Okay. I'll say my thoughts and then we'll just move on to Spoiler Street because you're like teetering on the edge here. I feel like I'm
just a bit annoyed.
You're going to piss off somebody.
We don't get out very much and like we've got a babysitter and we come out for the night. And actually I just was sitting there thinking, I wish we'd just gone out for dinner or a drink and like not be wasting our time at this shit. And like it'd just be funny. At the very least this movie could have been funny.
Okay, well, can I talk now?
You can talk
keep
now,
going?
Yeah. You can talk.
And
you probably remember the first one better than me.
I remember the first one a lot better than you. As I said in our Mission Impossible episode, you have goldfish
and you've seen it more than me.
Memory. You don't remember anything. So
but I do remember feeling.
There's a bit of a previously on at the beginning of this, which was a real lame exposition dump. But actually, you needed it, didn't you?
I was glad that they gave me the refresher, but at the same time, it was in no way interestingly or stylishly or cleverly done.
No,
like it was pathetic. It was like a previously on.
It was also. I'll talk about it in Spoiler Street, but it's basically it's an exact scene that we saw in the first movie. Yeah. Word for word almost. Anyway.
Like that, as soon as that kind of came on, I went, oh, this is bad. This is looking bad for the movie.
I'm kind of with you. This really felt like a misstep. It wants so badly to be a comedy, but it wasn't funny. Or at least, and I know the problem is comedy is subjective, and maybe this is I think this has worked for people. It's getting generally positive reviews, I think.
Our screening, it wasn't working for except some pretty young kids who were kind of laughing at it.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bad sign for a comedy when you're in a packed cinema and there's titters of laughter in like 4 rows down the front, but sort of nobody's really, and often people are just kind of laughing along because they think they have to.
Yeah, there's an obvious punchline beat.
Yeah, and it's like and
it's the sidekick Lewis again. He was quite funny in the first movie. He was delivering jokes in this movie, but they weren't funny. But you knew that if you were to laugh at any bit, you'd laugh at his bits.
So the problem was, the problem is with this movie, as with a lot of modern American comedy, it feels like it's got that loose improvisational style that Judd Apatow comedies have, and the director Peyton Reed has done quite a lot of this sort of style of movie, like The Breakup and other things like that. And you get a very mixed bag.
Breakup's much better than this, though. Is that the Jennifer Aniston Vince Vaughn one?
I'm not talking about the quality of The Breakup.
Okay,
I'm just talking about the
better.
general style of movie making, where this feels like they would have sat in a van and tried 50 takes and just have fun with it and let's see what happens. And then everyone had a great time and this one was kind of fun, we'll put that in. But the problem, what you get is you get a complete lack of coherency throughout this. So the comedy actually isn't woven into the narrative a lot of the time. It just feels like punchlines for the sake of punchlines.
Yeah.
And particularly with the case of Louise and the other 2 sidekicks who really have nothing at all to do.
Who were they?
They just brought them back because, hey, they're funny, right? So you get these 3 incidental characters that really had nothing to do, were entirely inconsequential and were just spouting off one. There's a whole series of like side gags when they go to an office.
It was so bad.
And they're talking about donuts, and it's like, oh my god, you buy the expensive donuts. I told you to eat the oatmeal. And it's like, you can't afford this. And it's like, but I like donuts. And it's like, this just felt like 4 grown men who everyone has decided are funny because everyone
comedians.
likes them in the first one.
They're not
and
even
it's like
comedians, they're actors. Like,
you go and have fun, guys. You just have fun. Everyone likes you. And it's cringy because Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly, who aren't comedic actors, are also there trying to riff on this, and the whole thing just felt so embarrassing to me.
Embarrassing.
I
And it
felt
felt so cheap.
This is terrible. Like,
I'm like, wait, you spent hundreds of millions of dollars on these movies, and this is the scene you're presenting us as a final product.
it felt
It
cheap.
was like a bad SNL sketch.
It looked cheap. Yeah, it's like when comedy's done badly and everyone in the room thinks they're funny and you don't, then I just feel sad for them, and I felt kind of embarrassed to be there.
Do you
It's
think
like,
that scene was improv? Like, do you know that for sure?
no, I don't. No, I'm just describing how
Or it could
the
have been
movie
written
felt
by 5
to
different
me.
writers. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And maybe it was all scripted, and that's the best they come up with.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, nothing landed for me.
No.
There was only one joke that made me laugh out loud, and I'll talk about that in Spoiler Street.
But this is where an editor comes in. Like, that should have been on the cutting room floor, that scene, because it added nothing anyway. You know what I mean? It just made the whole thing just a bit cringe.
That's where you need a good producer and a director who can just cut the fat on these things. It felt self-indulgent, really, and I think the fact that the first one was so well received, and particularly the comedic parts, have actually harmed the sequel, because they've doubled down
Yeah.
on all the funny bits, and it kind of just sapped the movie of any energy or momentum.
yeah.
There's no momentum in this movie because
Kept stalling.
the plot isn't really strong enough. The first movie is a heist movie.
That's what I was thinking. There was such fun heist in that, and it was about him being a bank robber and all that. And this is just straight into a plot that's
This
not
is-
interesting.
It's a quest movie, and the quest is just kind of slow and it's stalled. And I agree with you. The villains aren't strong enough or well defined enough. There's also, and to your point about style, I think it's unfair to. Well, it's impossible to say that it's Peyton Reed's not as good a director as Edgar Wright, and I don't think that's fair, because
No, I'm just saying I think
we
it's
don't
pretty
know where-
obvious now where the flair of the first movie
no,
came
but
from.
it's not obvious, and it's not fair to say, because that first movie was a collaboration, and we don't know who did what, and apparently a lot of the funniest bits actually didn't come from Edgar Wright. But what I will say for a fact is that this movie shows very little ingenuity that compared to what we saw in the first movie. Now, it is a sequel, and it has to build on existing things, like because the first movie is an origin movie, we're seeing this technology for the first time, so it's fresh. So the fact that he can shrink down, he was in a bathtub and he was down a drain and he's flying an ant, that's all new and interesting and exciting.
Yeah, but that's
Here
something we could
it's
have
all-
always guessed. You know, of course he could shrink. He was an ant, but they made it fun.
They did make it fun, but here they don't really build on that very much. There's only, let's just cut to Spoiler Street, because I think I need to talk about some specifics.
I think
here.
we need to go to Spoiler Street as well.
Yeah.
And just get straight into it, okay? So
But
spoilers for Ant-Man.
Before we do that, if you're thinking, should you go to this movie, I would say, if
I'd say
you're a
don't.
Marvel completionist,
Then you've probably seen it
you've
already.
already gone.
Yeah.
If you're kind of just, don't see some of these Marvel movies, but you're not too bothered, just watch this one on like video on demand or
Yeah.
whenever when it comes out. Don't bother.
Don't do it.
paying
And
to
honestly, the
cinema.
credit scene ain't worth sticking around for.
No, just look up. Do you know
Just-
the other
can you
thing?
watch it on YouTube? the
I
credit
will
scene?
say, I'm sick of the credit scenes now. I actually am.
I
We
felt
were sitting
trolled
there.
by it. I actually thought, you know what, they're being so disrespectful now to the audience, because, I mean, I wouldn't have sat for it except that we'd already missed our train and we were waiting for the next one anyway. But honestly, when the first one was okay, and then the second one, I thought they're actually just being disrespectful to the audience. Like, this is them just trolling us now. Because it's actually a lot to ask for 7-8 minutes out of someone's night at the end of what's already, a 2-hour movie, and then to just have a crap scene like that, and everyone in the audience just went, ugh. All the people who were left, like, nobody thought it was good except one
Interestingly,
7-year-old Rami.
half of the audience left after the first one, whether or not they thought that
the
was
smart
it.
audience.
But I'm feeling the same way about these post-credit teaser stingers, whatever they're called, as I'm feeling about trailers at Comic-Con. Were we talking about this on the podcast? Or
No,
was it
we were
before?
just talking about
All right,
it
we
ourselves.
came out of the movie talking about the trailers at Comic-Con, and it's like you get these people queuing at Comic-Con for 6 hours to watch a trailer that's going to be on the internet half an hour later.
Yeah.
I'm happy to just see these things I'll go see the movie, but I'll just I'll see this like 30-second thing on the internet, or I'll read about
But Dave,
it.
you've always waited for the end credits, though.
I
so-
know, because I'm a sucker and I'll
Yeah.
never change.
And I normally will go out to the bathroom or whatever. It's just this evening happened that we'd loads of time, so I waited for them. But I was really enraged. I didn't mind the first one, honestly. It was the second one that I was just enraged how long it took to come on and how bad it was.
It just thought it was a great punchline and it wasn't.
Yeah.
All right, let's turn on to Spoiler Street now. So, Spoiler Street for...
Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Why is she called the Wasp? Just because she has wings.
She has wings. I think she stung him at the start as well.
Oh, okay, let's talk about... All right, firstly, the villains... I think they tried to play the trick of... We'll just walk around here.
Yeah, train's so loud.
We're waiting on our train. They tried to play that... I think clearly they've heard feedback that people want their villains with a bit of depth and complexity, right? We saw Michael B. Jordan in Black
was
Panther
fantastic, yeah.
was a kind you can kind of see his point of view, and he's kind of a good guy. So
Well, it was just that he had a developed backstory with a legitimate motivation, right?
Yeah.
And of course, Michael B. Jordan's a particularly fantastic actor as well.
But I feel like maybe you could look at that, and whoever was making decisions on this were like, oh, people like shades of grey in their villains. They don't want straight up villains, right? So let's have a villain who's just kind of a good person, but just driven by personal pain or whatever. So I can see why this is maybe a good idea of this ghost character on paper.
Is she from
but
the comics, do you know?
I don't know.
We also instantly knew it was a woman because everyone for no reason was calling her a he.
But
So it was
also,
like, a
hang
woman.
on, it was a woman. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not like men and women often have quite distinct body shapes.
Yeah,
Not
it was a
always. But it was very clearly a woman.
Yeah.
Like, and everyone's going like, he's taken the building. And it's like, are you deliberately trying to build us up for a shock that it's a woman?
Yeah, that's what they were doing.
It's like,
It's
what?
like that age-old joke, you know, when somebody says, oh, you know those jokes where it's like, turns out the doctor's a woman because they said the word doctor and you presume doctor's a man, and that's kind of the punchline.
Or the Kenko ads.
Yeah,
Do you
exactly.
remember those old Kenko
Yeah.
ads? Where
The CEO will see
the
you
CEO
now. You already met her. It's that kind of thing. It's like, right,
she's
okay.
she's with a Colombian coffee guy, and he's like, shouldn't we clear that with the boss?
And I don't even think
You just did.
I don't know if we've much to say about her except she's like her thinks
She's
her
nothing
dad is
villain.
like mortal enemy of Michael Douglas, and she morphs in and out of quantum physics.
Okay, her
and she grew up in South America but has an English accent, even though Lars Fishburne raised her. So why does she have an English accent?
why? That was bothering me
That
as
was
well.
annoying me. She was just dull, and every time she showed up I just thought, oh my god, we have to watch her going in and phasing again. It's so
Her
boring.
costume looked like a TV show
Yeah.
costume as well. It
And
felt
then-
like it felt plasticky.
I don't even think we should give much time to either of the villains, but we'll really quickly mention that the other villain was that actor who kind of plays a bad southern drawler in everything.
Oh, Walton Goggins.
Yeah,
who's a great
he's
actor.
really good. But again, his character, every time he showed up I just thought, oh, but why? Why do we have to watch this? It's so paint by numbers. It's like, I'm a baddie and I deliver he's essentially an arms dealer, but he's delivering in quantum physics machines to Evangeline Lilly, and then he tries to double cross her, and then he spends the whole film chasing them to the point where we watch 5 chase scenes, right? Oh my god.
He added nothing to anything except maybe to give Luis a bit of something to do.
Yeah,
and to
him. I
connect some
enjoyed the
plot
scene with
points.
them and the truth serum.
He was a plot driver.
Yeah.
But he was deliberately put in. Clearly, this movie again doubled down in comedy, and they thought, right, we'll have a kind of a comic villain. And I felt like he felt like a slight callback to Sam Rockwell as Justin Hammer in Iron Man 2. Very similar sort of character, but done with, much poorer execution. Sam Rockwell was much more entertaining in that. And I think Walton Goggins is a brilliant
Yeah, I
actor
think
and a
he's
great
brilliant
villain,
too.
but he's given very little
He's
to work
given
with
absolutely
here.
nothing to do
So-
with. And there was two trivial villains. There is no really big villain, and then the ultimate goal of them, which was to get Evangeline Lilly's mom, who's played by Michelle Pfeiffer. That kept getting lost for me as well, because that wasn't my, as a viewer, our goal I was invested in, because it was all kind of gobbledygook, and it happened 30 years ago, and they suddenly decide that on this day we need to do this, right? When you're being chased by this so-called ghost woman, and the FBI are chasing you, and Paul Rudd has 3 days left before his probation ends, that he's been on 2 years house arrest. So, like, just wait a few days. None of this needs to happen now, and that genuinely annoyed me. I'm not being nitpicky. I just thought, okay,
wait till he's finished his probation.
Wait till he's finished his probation. And from his perspective, when they kidnap him, he would have been like, no, sorry, I'll come back in 3 days.
Yeah.
I'm not helping you. This ghost woman who's a baddie who's trying to kill them all, we know for a fact she's only got a few weeks to live. Wait till she's died. Or alternatively, Lawrence Fishburne and Michael Douglas and Evangeline Lilly can just all help her. Like, there was no need for them to be antagonistic. Like, that just didn't make sense. That really
bothered me.
So, like, Lawrence Fishburne didn't need to be doing that.
When Ghost and Lawrence Fishburne have kidnapped the three of them, and they tell them her plan. Our plan is also to get Michelle Pfeiffer out of the thing, and then we're going to suck her energy out or something. And Lawrence Fishburne's kind of like, yes, but we want her to live. At that point, it was like, you're all in the same room together.
Yeah.
Like, figure this out.
Yeah.
Like, the conflict suddenly just fell over.
Yeah.
The reason for the conflict didn't make any sense.
Didn't need to, and we felt bad for her. You know, she's had a hard life. Like, great, we'll all work to help each other, and everyone will be happy.
Which,
and then
hang on, is what happened anyway.
Yeah.
So why couldn't you have just got to that sooner? So all you end up with there is plot contrivances that frustrate the audience.
Yeah.
It really frustrated me anyway.
Every part of it, to me, just felt like, oh, now we need to insert X to make Y.
Do you have my ticket? Did you give it to me? Oh, sorry. Oh, no! This is trapped on other sides of the barrier. Where did I put it? And this is how the podcast died. All right, we're back. Sorry,
Dave lost his train ticket.
I lost my ticket. I don't know how that happened.
The woman kindly let him through anyway.
It's gonna show up somewhere.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
I don't know. We're talking about how crap the villains are.
Oh.
I think we've given them enough airtime.
Yeah, the villains are crap.
The villains are just... And it's like, it's just going so backwards from...
They all had the same goal. Like,
Yeah.
when the villains and the heroes have the same exact goal, fine... That's how a quest movie works, because you have they're both going to the same thing, and that's how you get a chase, and then they're both passing the building around, which was fun. I actually really first of all, I really liked the shrunk building.
Yeah, the building was fun.
Great idea, and really fun as a MacGuffin. Like,
and the first
that's
time
an
that
actual thing
happened,
that can chase, that you can be in.
That was fun, and the first time it actually happened when Michael Douglas pressed the button and it shrunk was really fun.
And all the stuff with the cars
Yeah.
and the little like selection of cars, really clever.
But again, it got
only
boring
two moments
then.
of ingenuity really in this movie.
But then the chase, right? So, for example, not to rave about Mission Impossible, because we've just done 2 reviews of Mission Impossible, but the chases in Mission Impossible are interesting in and of themselves, right? Doesn't matter what's at the end of them. They're really easy to follow, they're interesting, they're fun. These chase scenes just happened over and over again. The car shrinking, the car getting bigger again, the car shrinking, one of them jumping from the next car to the next car to the next car to the next car, and then it was all over and I was like, oh thank God. And then bloody Lewis gets in a car and does the whole thing again. And I was like, oh my God, I have to watch this again. And then there was a bit that like should have looked good, which is like Paul Rudd's suit malfunctioning, where it kept getting big and small, big and small. But even that wore out for me, and I just thought, oh God, here he is again in his giant suit.
In the school just ended like so suddenly. It was like, oh, here's the trophy. Okay, we did it.
Yeah, that was
like,
a strange scene earlier on in the movie.
What was the peril?
No peril. He's shrunken, and there's like a vague bit of humour where he could have been a kid,
Where's
and then it was
your
just
hall pass?
over. And then later on, he's kind of using like one of the cars as a scooter because he's so tall. And it's like back and forth, and there's a ferry, and it was just all over the place, and just not visually interesting.
I kind of disagree with you. I thought the chase stuff was really fun, and I thought that's where the movie really lifted for me. And I really enjoyed everyone chasing this building, and now I've got the building. And I thought the way watching like somebody who can shrink fight with somebody who can phase in and out of bodies was really fun dynamic, and I thought that was quite interesting. And I liked the way she was jumping in and out of cars and going big, punching people, going small, punching the other people. Like,
for me that wasn't interesting.
I think that worked.
But I could see why it would work for some people. But I think at that point I was just so bored of the whole plot anyway.
But let me tell you one thing. because you mentioned Mission Impossible, and I couldn't help but think of our last cinema experience, which was Mission Impossible Fallout. And watching the first fight scene of this in a hotel room, and then it goes into she's fighting all of Walton Goggins' guys, and then she goes into a kitchen, and the hand-to-hand combat, I just kept thinking, like, oh my god, it's actually hard to watch this when we watched that bathroom scene in Mission Impossible, which was so full of life and
Fallout.
energy. Mission Impossible Fallout. And like,
the hand-to-hand stuff here is just so fake.
It's
Everything
hard to
looks
watch
so fake.
action, any other action, when you've seen it done so well by Christopher McQuarrie. Like, he just set the benchmark too high, him and Tom Cruise. So
but
now
it's because
I'm
they're in suits, and there's like blatantly a lot of the scenes are so fake because they're all different sizes and there's different things happening. Like, there's no sense, and this is a problem I have with most of the Marvel movies. There's nothing grounded, and there's no sense of perspective or where everyone is, or anything being that I can follow visually. And on top of that, when you've got a really dull plot like this one had, where like ultimately at the end of the day it's all set over about 2 days, and it's them trying to get Michelle Pfeiffer back, who, great, I'm a Michelle Pfeiffer fan, but why do we care that people who were kind of sub-characters in the last movie, who fair enough are now supposed to be equal billing with Paul Rudd, albeit I would say it's still Paul Rudd's movie, and are we really supposed to care that her mom, who went missing 30 years ago, who we get one scene with where she's playing hide and seek with her daughter, and she calls her jelly bean over and over and over again, like the way Paul Rudd calls his daughter Peanut over and over and over again. Are we really supposed to care that much that we watch a whole movie where they go back to some kind of silly psychedelic place and find her? Like, is that really the motivation for the whole movie? Because to me, Paul Rudd's character would not be doing that, because he would be finishing out his parole because he made such a big deal about how he needs to be there for his daughter and not be a criminal in the first movie, that I just don't buy at all that Paul Rudd's doing any of this.
Well, I guess he feels like he owes them.
But he doesn't owe them.
But
He
also,
said, call me in 2 days and I'll help you then.
It didn't make sense, why couldn't they have just waited a couple of days?
Make any
now,
sense.
there's a throwaway moment at one point where they're like, they finally get the coordinates for where she is in the quantum zone.
Mm-hmm.
And then she when she's inhabiting Paul Rudd's body in quite a fun scene.
I did enjoy that scene.
She says, okay, you have exactly 2 hours to get me, or we won't be able to get it for another century.
Yeah.
It's like, fine, they've just literally just written in an excuse for like a time frame.
Yeah,
but that didn't exist before.
But that didn't exist before, and they should have waited. If you're going to do all this with like this time bridge, and you're going to get Ant-Man to help you and all these things, do it on like quiet afternoon. You've got a house that you can bring anywhere in the world, right?
Yeah.
Go to an island off the coast of the mainland that there's nobody else on, and just take your time. Why are you doing it now when you
in the middle of
all
the city?
These problems? It doesn't make any sense.
Okay, I will say as well, the quantum zone, I think, is a fun idea, and I think that's a really interesting place, but they don't do anything interesting with it. And there's throwaway lines that made me think, oh, that's going to be interesting. Like, she says time works differently here and it can affect the human brain. But then all we get is, what? Michael Douglas goes there and goes a bit wacky for a second.
Oh my god, this is what I actually meant to discuss. So, who's doing Michelle Pfeiffer's makeup in this place? Because she has a full face of makeup when he comes to collect her, yet she's aged 30 years. So I actually thought, it might be interesting if she looked the same as she did at the start, which I really enjoyed the way they made Michael Douglas and her look really young. But I thought, okay,
and Lawrence Fishburne.
Yeah, so I kind of enjoyed that. And then it cuts to Michelle Pfeiffer, and she's aged in real time, and she just has a full face of makeup on and has had loads of plastic surgery. So what's going on in this place? It's outrageous. It's ludicrous. She's literally got navy eyeshadow on, and that just annoyed me.
Time works differently in the
It annoyed me so much. Every part of it, and then they just kiss, and then they just, we're all happy now. We're all together. There's no repercussion.
But also, why isn't she mentally fucked up?
What's she been doing? She's been living on her own for 30 years.
She's been living on her own for 30 years in a place that she says fucks with your mind.
Yeah, and
so
then
like,
when Paul Rudd comes back, right?
How is she not a gibbering mess?
When Paul Rudd comes back, she implants some stupid memory antenna thing in his head. Why doesn't she just travel back with him instead of doing all that?
Oh, I don't know.
Because she apparently had access to him. No,
but no. More importantly, why is she completely coherent and normal? And she's like the first thing she does is like when she inhabits Paul Rudd is like, oh my god, we're already arguing. It's
Yeah,
like,
no,
no,
banter,
you've
straight
been,
to the
you've been,
banter.
you've been stuck in a horror. You've been stuck in a nightmare for 30
And also
years.
she's like, excuse me, honey, while I type in this algorithm. I'm like, so you haven't seen a computer in 30 years and you know how to get straight into this computer
Well,
and type what
keyboards
you're
haven't
typing.
changed.
Yeah, but like, you know,
Algorithms
computers have
haven't
changed. Like, she's basically working on an iPad, and last time she
Oh,
worked,
go
she was
on.
on like one of those
I
really
know,
old
but it's
laptops,
movie science, isn't it?
computers. It is. But I think we're going to have to get off though because our train is landing in soon.
It's so good to see you, Jelly Bean, but I have to work with this
Oh
algorithm.
my god, she said jelly bean one more time, and if Paul Rudd said peanut one more time. Okay, and we really very briefly need to discuss Paul Rudd's kind of ex, who's Kitty from Arrested Development, and then the guy who
What was with that Happy Families thing?
it was weird. Every time he meets his
Stupid.
ex-wife and her husband, who's an actor I really like as well. Every time
He's very good, wasn't he?
I can't remember his name, but every time they meet, like he's in so many movies, including like, you know, Blue Jasmine and things like that. But every time they all meet, they hug and kiss and
Bobby
like
Carnival.
stop googling during the podcast. Every time they meet, they like hug and kiss and have this weird relationship. And like the ex-wife's really annoying, and they're all just in his house all the time. They're all video calling each other all the time. It's like, what is this family dynamic? And if I was Evangeline Lilly, I'd be like, no thanks. I'm not marrying into this because it's implied she's going to become the stepmother at the end. Do you want to briefly talk about the end credit scene, the first?
Yeah,
one?
I'm aware of spoiling it for people on the train.
I think we're fine.
Just moved it. Okay.
No.
Basically.
But there's nothing to spoil. Like,
Yeah, well, it's not fair on people on the train. Okay. I thought it was a nice little touch, a nice little payoff.
yeah, the first one
for
was a nice little
Infinity
touch.
War,
So
the first
basically,
one.
Paul Rudd.
Yeah,
for
they
anyone who
know,
hasn't
they've
seen
seen
it.
it.
Yeah, well, if you haven't, Paul Rudd goes into like this stupid hyperspace place, and then as he's there, he's about to be pulled back by the team, and then they all disappear, aka a la the end of Infinity
Which is
War.
great. Let's just seeing the little dust.
Yeah, and then he's trapped there.
I think that's a great
Yeah, I
little
think
setup,
that's a
but
really good
already
setup.
that's more interesting than anything happened.
They should have
in
just
the
skipped the movie.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
actually
yeah.
should have just put this at the end of the other movie.
Yeah.
And then the next end credit scene, which is the really laborious one that you wait like 5 minutes for, was just, okay, it showed TV, all the TV monitors are gone off because of this incident, and then it's just an ant playing the drums. The ant that was impersonating him for his ankle bracelet. I also thought they didn't, like, the ankle bracelet stuff never really paid off in the end anyway, because he was just back and forth, and it didn't really matter. So actually he didn't have to stay in his house for 2 years in the first place. Yeah. So look, I think I'm disappointed.
You're really drilling down into
No,
the
I'm just saying,
now.
when you actually really closely analyse any plot detail of this movie, it doesn't make sense, and that's really bad for a movie that costs this much money.
I mean, yeah, look, bits like that are maybe a bit nitpicky, but you're right. In general,
Nothing held
when
up.
the macro doesn't work and the micro doesn't
No.
work
And then-
at a plot level. So if you can't buy into the plot or the motivation,
Yeah.
and there's no momentum, then all you're reliant on is the jokes to keep you going,
Yeah.
and they weren't there either.
No.
So
and the charm of Paul Rudd, you know, and again, like, we don't do
And
this
he's
podcast.
still charming.
Yeah, we don't do this podcast to be negative. Like, we're genuinely disappointed that we didn't like it, and I wish that someone had been with us who did like it to like counter argue. Like, we should have had our Marvel correspondent.
And I hate
Rubius
when
Cook.
we come across so negative.
Yeah,
But-
I
'cause we
really
wanted
wish
to
I'd
be-
liked
I
it.
wanted
Like
to
the
be-
last movie, this I came out because I actually saw this without Dave. I saw it with my mom. It's probably the only one I've ever watched without you. And I messaged you because you hadn't seen it yet, and I was like, "This movie's amazing! You're going to love it!" Like, I was so happy. Me and my mom laughed the whole movie. It didn't matter that she didn't know any Marvel movies. Like, none of that mattered, and we just loved it. And I think she came because she liked Paul Rudd, because he's a selling point to people who aren't necessarily interested in this
Yeah.
universe. But yeah, huge disappointment.
It's just flat. It was just a
Yeah.
really flat.
And I won't watch
lifeless
the next
movie.
one now. They said that they're going to come back at the end. I just thought, ugh, I don't care.
I will say though, I enjoyed Randall Park as the FBI.
Oh, he was
agent
good,
from
yeah.
Hunter. He's always good.
He was
And
funny. His
he
last scene
had-
with Paul Rudd was funny.
That was the time when I laughed
Yeah,
out loud. That
that
was a standout gag for me when he says the classic, the classic cliche line of "I'll see you around."
Yeah. And then
He
Paul
said,
Rudd breaks it down
where,
for him.
Where will you see me?
Yeah, that was good. I did
Are you
enjoy that.
inviting me to dinner?
Um,
Or
That was good.
I mean, I'll see you around
and actually,
next
sorry,
time I arrest
the
you.
only thing that I found, aside from the building shrink, which was fun, funnily, the end scene of the movie was the cutest bit. It was they're at a drive-through, and then you realise what it is, that they've actually shrunk their car in
Oh,
front
that's
of a
nice.
laptop, and
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
cute.
that's
That was
cute.
cute. So they ended on a high for me because it was the Paul Rudd looking at Evangeline Lilly like Clueless and the laptop thing, and I just thought, no, Cathy, remember, you don't like this movie, you like the scene. They're two very different things.
And the the actual credits were done in a very stylish way with little models, little
yeah,
miniatures.
they're cute, but like you
that.
know, nothing interesting. Okay, so let us know if you disagree with us, and we hope you liked the movie. So please tell us if you did. We're on Twitter, where we kind of mainly chat to people at the Cinema.
We want to hear from people who like this and tell us why you think we're wrong.
Yeah. And tell us what you liked about it. If
we
you've seen
need-
it, I
we
mean,
need more opinion.
box office on this is obviously nothing on any of the other, particularly the like Avengers movies, which are huge. And I know a lot of that's repeat viewing, but it's also just there's more interest in them. Like I really couldn't see someone now going to see this movie twice in the cinema unless they're like a film critic who's been invited to multiple screenings or something.
Wait, who's this film critic that's going to multiple
I'm just saying,
screenings
like,
of the same movie?
I don't see why someone would pay to see this
okay.
movie a couple of times. Like, I mean, we only paid $5.99, and I feel like we overpaid.
I can't imagine this movie's got its die-hard fans.
No, I mean, I think kids would like it because you know there's fun Ant-Man stuff in it. But
All right,
yeah,
come
so
on,
catch
let's-
us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're at thecinema.com and we're on iTunes, and we'd really appreciate it if you could subscribe and leave us a review there.
Yes.
Okay, bye.
And you can email us. Send us a
You
long
can.
old email. Cinemile@gmail.com.
gmail.com. Sometimes people email us and we love it.
We always write back.
We always write back. Yeah, okay, bye.
Bye, love you.
Hey, what's up with the fancy pastry? We gotta keep the food budget down.
Well, what are we supposed to have for breakfast?
The oatmeal packets.
Oatmeal packets.
It's insult.
Why is it an insult?
Because it tastes like sand.
You know why? It's because it's organic.
No,
That's
it's
why.
not organic. It's sand.
It's the most important meal of the day.
You know what? You can get creative with it.
Break teeth.
Oh, put a little brown sugar on it. You put some cinnamon. Put a little honey.
You-
whatever.
guys, no, you don't.
Guys, come on, man. We got bigger fish to fry. Is that my desk?
Yeah.
What? Why do I have such a small desk?
Well, because you weren't there when we were choosing desks.
You snooze, you lose.
Well, I was under house arrest.
Yeah.
You know what? This isn't even a desk. This is garbage. You found this outside amongst garbage.
I got it at a rummage sale.
So you save money on my desk?
Guys!
Hope, please. We need to focus, all right? We gotta find that lab already. Jeez.